As a business owner, I want you to pause your Google Ads because you need to focus on your website UX, your website conversion. The reason why I'm saying this is your Google Ads is the start of a relay race. It passes the baton to the website, and the website actually converts your traffic. You can spend all your money on Google Ads. If your website UX is terrible, then you're not going to get increase in booking appointments and increase in sale. Today, I'm going to be sharing a case study of how we optimize the website to improve the performance of Google Ads. I'm going to be talking about this in 7 sections. I'm going to talk about a website navigation, visual identity, content quality, discoverability, engagement, mobile experience, and conversion. One thing I want you to understand is your website navigation is really important. When people click on Google Ads, not all of them will convert. Some people will want more information. Some people will need more convincing. That means they're going to click around your website. The quality of your navigation will determine how much those people will convert. If your navigation is terrible, then they're not going to convert. Today, I'm going to be talking about a client that I worked with. I'm not going to share the client's name, so everything will be anonymous, but this client was a dermatologist, and the goal of the website was to get people with different conditions to land on the website and book an appointment to fix those conditions. So the first thing I noticed was the navigation of the website. I'm looking at the website now. The navigation of the website had a section that had like 13 drop downs. You know, when you go on a website and you click on the navigation, something drops underneath, then you can choose the services. The number of services that was within the drop down was not grouped into themes because different skin conditions had different themes. Like you had like the mole check, then you have the acne, then you had the cyst removal. All these things were not grouped, and they also have different price points. Some of them are more urgent, some of them are less urgent and less severe. And one thing I noticed was the navigation wasn't structured in a logical perspective. Even this, you don't even need to be an expert. But the problem is most web developers do not have a UX background. They do not have a content background. So they design for look and feel. So one problem that we resolved was to group all the services into themes to make it easier for people to find those services. Then another issue that I noticed on the navigation was the locations. The client had multiple locations, but not all the locations were listed in the navigation. Some of the location was listed on the homepage. That was a problem. And to fix that problem, we realize that, okay, not everybody that lands on the website will live in those locations listed. Some people will live in a location that is nearer that place, but since they don't see their location, they'll be confused and they'll be like, okay, I cannot use this service. So one thing that we did was to implement a zip code or postcode lookup. So when people landed on the website, they just type in the postcode, and that kind of showed them the nearest location to them. That helped. Again, when people come from Google Ads, they land on the website, they're not always going to be satisfied with the information they find. They might browse around. The navigation helped to make sure that they go back to that service, to that procedure that would get them to convert. Then another thing I kind of noticed was there's something called breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs is like when you go on the website and you start going deep into the website, you would not know the path that you took to get to where you are. So when a website has a breadcrumb, you can see homepage, service, about us. You can see where you are, like the path that you follow to where you are. So if you want to go back to the homepage, instead of clicking on the logo, or if you want to go back to a section between where you are and the homepage, there's something called a breadcrumb, and that was missing on the website. And that improves navigation on the website. That's something that we also added. Now, let me talk about visual identity. A lot of small business websites, even larger websites, get designed by people that have experience of offline branding. Like that branding is different to online branding. And then you have a situation where people that design website do not even have an understanding of brand and visual branding. And things are not really designed in the best way. So one thing I noticed on this client's website is when you get to the homepage and some pages had sliders. So sliders is when you land on a website and you see an image. Before 2 seconds, the image moves and then before you know, the image moves again. These became a problem for Google Ads because when people click on a particular ad and they land on the landing page, because the sliders had different procedures, different services that doesn't align with what they saw, that became a problem. And we needed to we got rid of the sliders and had static images and static and video carousels to kind of communicate and align with where people were coming from Google Ads and when they land on the website. Another UX problem that I noticed on the website was you have the number of customers that my client has worked for or worked with, and there was a counter on the website. That counter was always updating because it was linked to a database. The problem with this was JavaScript. JavaScript is like a technology that not everyone can really read it properly. When I mean everyone, AI bots like Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude, they cannot read it properly. So whilst you can also see clearly, it was difficult for that to even render on mobile, and that became a problem. And the way we fixed it was to have static numbers. Those numbers were then updated manually. So that made it possible for people to actually see social proof. Social proof is the number of customers that my clients have worked with, the number of clients that were happy and that have given high reviews, 5-star reviews. And this needed to be reflected on the website. But because of technical issues, this wasn't showing properly, and we needed to fix that. So my client was a professional. He's a professional, has a lot of accreditation, won a lot of award, and has a lot of credibility from a professional standpoint. A lot of these awards were on the website, but the problem was these awards were at the footer of the website. They were buried in deep sections of the website. And one thing I realized quickly using heat map and session replay was like, not everybody could scroll down to see those awards, but those awards also played a huge part to build trust and credibility for my clients. So what we did was to position the awards and mention the awards across the website above the fold, so people had quicker access to see that award, and that influenced them to book an appointment with the clients and to go ahead with their procedure. Another thing apart from the awards was my client's personal brand. Again, very, very experienced individual, multiple clinics across the UK. All those accreditation, the numbers of the staff, the professionalism, the quality of the staff, all this was restricted to the About Us page. Again, I then realized that this information is important for people to convert, but they cannot access this information if it's just isolated to the About Us page. What we did was to put all this personal brand information, qualification, years of work, number of clients, testimonials, and everything was to kind of spread that across all the landing page to increase my client's credibility and influence the conversion across the board. Then another thing I also did was with the content on the website. A lot of websites will not update their content. The only part of the website that gets updated often is the blog section. And it's not necessarily updating, it's just writing new blog post and then dumping it into the blog section. Existing content is hardly updated, and this was a problem. I've worked with large website with as big as 400,000 pages. And a lot of this website had seasonality, and they were constantly updating and improving the homepage and all the other pages. That is where I learned the importance of keeping your website fresh. My client's homepage was not fresh. The problem was a lot of value propositions were not really above the fold. They were not communicated early. Things like 5 days turnaround time, like if you contact them for a skin condition like mole removal, cyst removal, and all those kind of medical procedure, my client was able to see you within 5 days. That wasn't actually communicated higher up the page, and no waiting time, no waiting list, all these kind of things that was not available with the NHS because it was a private clinic. These were the value proposition that we moved higher up the page and restructure the content on the website to emphasize this speed in service and quality of the medical practitioners in the organization. That also increased and improved Google Ads performance and conversion. What I'm trying to say here is pause your Google Ads to fix your website's UX and CRO. This has nothing to do with Google Ads. And the problem with is a lot of Google Ads agencies and consultants always worked on Google Ads. Not a lot of them started their careers with websites, SEO, to kind of improve an existing website. Getting traffic from Google Ads is easy. Making that traffic convert, that is the hard work. And a lot of Google Ads agencies do not have UX and CRO experience. My clients hired me because I had a combination of Google Ads, UX and CRO experience, and I've worked with large clients over the years as well. Now, another problem that I noticed while doing the UX of my client's website was the pricing. The pricing on Google Ads said procedures from £99. The actual price on the website was from £250. There was a disconnect between what was said in Google Ads and what was actually visible on the website. So what we did was to align the actual pricing and also make the pricing visible across all the service pages on the website. The same thing with the About Us page as well. The About Us page had all my clients' credibility, accomplishments, award, and it wasn't really visible across the website. For you to really know that you're in good hands when booking an appointment with this dermatologist clinic is to read the About Us page. And I found out using Google Analytics that not everybody would have the patience or the time to go through to the About Us page. They just want the service page, see if the service fits what they're looking for. So we needed and we made sure that the information and the credibility of my clients was communicated across all the service pages to increase the trust that people had when they landed on the page from Google Ads and also increase conversion as well. Then another thing I looked at on this client website when I was doing the website UX to improve Google Ads conversion was to look at the blog section of the website. The blog section was perfect. A lot of the content were relevant. There were informational content. There were commercial content. There was even content that kind of leaned a little bit towards transactional content. But what I noticed was the blog section didn't actually connect to the service page. So what we did was identify those journeys, informational, commercial. When it got closer to the transactional, we started adding call to action to link the blogs with the relevant service that kind of aligns people looking for information about a particular skin condition. The solution was for them to book an appointment to fix those conditions. And we made sure that the blog section connected with the service pages. Another thing is the website didn't have a lot of local SEO. What I mean is those conditions that my client needed people to book appointment for, they didn't have pages that linked those conditions with the locations. And this was one thing that we needed to do, was create more local pages. This is where local SEO comes into play. Whilst those pages are created for local SEO, those pages also work for Google Business Profile, and they also work for the Google Ads landing page when it comes to location-specific targeting. These was things that we did to improve not just Google Ads engagement and conversion, but also all the other channels as well. Same goes for AI search and AI visibility as well. All the traffic from Google Ads, we all know that not all of them are going to convert. So as a business owner, when you're running Google Ads, you need to ask yourself the question, when you get a traffic from Google Ads, you paid for it. What happens when that person is not actually ready to convert? That means you've wasted the money. And the only way, or one of the only way for you to ensure that whilst that person is not ready to convert now, you get their details so you can then nurture them and get them to convert later. And one thing we did was start implementing email capture across all the important pages on the website. That email capture then fed into the CRM system, and that CRM system then sent a series of emails to people that showed interest in a particular service but didn't actually book, or people that actually started filling the form and didn't complete their booking process. We then have a sequence of emails to nudge them to come back and complete the conversion. I know some people will say you can use retargeting. Retargeting is not as powerful as using email to bring people back. Again, this is something not related to Google Ads, but Google Ads traffic gets more conversion if you have an effective email nurture process implemented. Then another thing I saw on the website, every website will have social media icons. These social media icons by default, when you click on them, it takes you away from the website to the social media presence of the client. The goal of the website when you get traffic from Google Ads is not to get people to leave and go on social media. The goal is for you to get people to stay on the website. If they have to go on social media by clicking on a social media link on the website, that link should open in a new window. It should open in a new tab. But what I realized was on my client's website, it was opening on the same page, literally getting people to exit the website. And we fixed that by making sure that those icons opened in a new tab. The mobile functionality was something that we also did when I was doing the UX audit. Mobile is important. I mentioned that the navigation had like 12 services. Now imagine you doing that on mobile. You click on it and then the navigation gets really, really, really complicated. And one thing we did was to make sure that we optimize the navigation for mobile, and that also improved mobile conversion as well. Then one problem that I noticed was when people were ready to book, the platform where they completed the booking for the service, for the health service that this dermatology clinic was offering, was a different brand entirely. So when people clicked on booking, they were confused. It appeared as if they were on a different platform or they've lost their way. And that kind of affected like 25% of conversion. So one thing we did was to make sure that the branding on the actual website was consistent with the branding on the booking platform. I've worked with a lot of medical clinics, dentists, aesthetic clinics, and a lot of the platforms that they use for their booking system is separate from their website. It's like a third-party system. One thing I've done over the years is to make sure that the branding aligns, and if there's possibility to embed that checkout funnel, that booking funnel within the website as a code to make it consistent, that is something that really, really helped as well. I also looked at the page load time on mobile. It was very, very slow. There were certain pages that was designed with a lot of visual stuff that made the website heavy. When you have a lot of elements on a website, it makes it heavy. It's like humans. If you eat a lot, you're heavy. The same with the website. If you add a lot of things on the website, it becomes heavy. So to improve the speed of the website on mobile in particular, we had to remove some elements that were not really doing any good. They were not useful. So like I mentioned the slide earlier on, that functionality was very, very heavy. Removing that and just having a static image increased the performance of the website. The call to action across the website as well, because people are not just going to convert because you have a call to action. One thing I did was to make sure that all those fears, all those doubts, all those things that affected people not to convert, I added text close to the call to action to reduce the anxiety and the stress people had, and then encourage them to convert more. Then another thing I also noticed as well is people, as a business owner, you're often tempted to have multiple call to action on a particular page, especially above the fold. With these clients, they had like 5 call to action. The more options you give people on a website, the less they're going to make a decision. 1 or 2 maximum, 1 or 2, 1 primary and 1 secondary call to action. Those call to action need to have synergy between them as well. Having 5 call to action is just making people not to make a decision. So one thing we did was to make sure that we had trust symbols, the award as well as the qualifications of my clients and the years of experience were information that I made sure were present very, very close to the call to action. Because when people were trying to make an informed decision about booking, paying up to £1,000 for a medical procedure, they kind of wanted to know, is this person legit? Having those awards very, very close to the call to action improved booking and appointments as well. So, and then testimonial as well. I made sure that across the website, on social media platform, the testimonials, the reviews from previous customers were communicated very, very visible. And we also use user-generated content as well to improve and increase conversion of Google Ads. What I'm trying to say here is, as a business owner, you need to pause your Google Ads and fix your website. Your Google Ads is like water. Your website is like the bucket. If you pour water in a leaky bucket, you're literally wasting that water. So if your website UX is not fixed, then you have a problem. Most Google Ads agency will claim to know how to do landing page and CRO, but trust me, they do not. I am Femi Olajiga. I'm a growth marketing consultant with commercial experience of improving website conversion, traffic from Google Ads, traffic from SEO, traffic from social media, traffic from word of mouth marketing, traffic from offline marketing. They all land on your website. For you to improve those conversion and for you to tailor each of those experiences from those channels, you need to make sure that you fix your website UX and CRO. I have been involved with a lot of website redesign over the past 15 years, and I'm able to help small businesses achieve return on investment on their marketing spend. So what I'm going to tell you now is you can book a free 30 minutes consultation with me. I can have a look at your website, identify all the UX and conversion issues on your website, and fix those issues. So every money, every dollar, every pound you spend on Google Ads will convert. Every investment you make on marketing through SEO, Meta ads, even TikTok ads will convert when those people land on your website. Again, book a free 30 minutes consultation with me, and I'll give you a free audit of your website, and we can work together to fix those conversion problems on your website and increase the effectiveness of your Google Ads. After we've increased the effectiveness of your website, then you can switch on your Google Ads. But now I want you to pause your Google Ads and contact me so we can fix your website, so you stop wasting money and you start getting higher conversion from Google Ads. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode of the podcast. Again, book an appointment and I'll help you with a free 30-minute consultation. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. If you're listening on podcast platform, give us a 5-star review. Thank you very much. Bye.